that, I do not do refugee asylees, and I think most of you probably fit in that category. Is that right? You all refugees?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Do I need to stop every once in a while to interpret?
Cái bên cạnh Anthony Julie in cái concept bên immigration làm tôi hiểu hi rồi nói tôi lại nói về chuyện hi refugee làm tôi bên cạnh visa policy.
I understand maybe some of you got some letters from the United States Immigration Services, and that service asked you to come in for an interview. Is that correct? Does anybody here fit in?
มีคนขัน USCIS ประเด็นหลายงานตอนมีอินเทอร์วิวที่ผ่านหลายคนปีกับเรามีตอนมีตัวพิเศษตัวเราคนขับอบรมไม่ได้มา
Yes. Then answer me, or I won't keep talking. So if I say yes or no, you say yes or no.
ไอ้ก่อนที่จะเริ่มจีนได้หรอ
Well, do you know why you got the letters? Do you understand? Let me tell you what I think. I think that those of you that came from refugee camps, that there was somebody at the camp that found out your information and they prepared false documents for other people using your information. And immigration has found out about that. And so immigration wants to try to see who's the real person and who's the fake person.
ถ้ามีทุนตัวพิเศษที่เรื่องเจ้าหน้าที่ที่เลย immigration camp มีคนมีขัดเป็นตอนเอา immigration camp ปัญหาอยู่มีบอกขัดเป็นเอามีนักขัดอีมินอาซาอินตอนตัว US อังกฤษตอนมีตัวพิเศษUS กุบิน immigration ลำแต่อาโมดจ้ามันเป็นมินโจตั้มปีตะอมหิไอ้จ้ามินโจตั้มปีตะอมหิจ้าตอนมีเป็นอามินบางตักตาสินกุยอาโจเป็นกุยจ้าตอนมีเป็นอาโมหิตาอาโจกันกี่อากูนิจุลเกยยานมโซเป็นยี่
If you got that letter and if you're the real person, you do want to go to that interview.
ก็มีอะไรนะครับนักเป็นอามิมันตักตันหิอาฮิเลอินเตอร์กว่าไปยิน
If you obtained your documents through fraud or misrepresentation, I don't know what to tell you to do.
เกณฑ์เดินนักเป็นลายโจลายพิขับสังหามีนักมินตั้งขัดที่งานจริงในที่เป็นตัวไม่เป็นบางที่บอกที่เป็นบางที่พิเศษที่จริงแค่ต้องเก็บจริง
Immigration wants you to bring documents with you, and many of you, when you fled your country, you did not take your documents. Any documents you have, though, you want to take with you.
อาชุบีเป็นอะไรบางอย่างเช่นอีกคำพันธ์แต่ US กับมันนั่งเล่นแต่เจ้าตัวนั่งเล่นเราต้องกินใส่ลายคงลายแต่โซเชียลไว้นั่งปูดเดียวตัวไม่เป็นชุบีมาใหม่ตัวไม่ลายคงลายแล้วตับปูชิวะฮีเล่ตัวไม่เป็นไวซ์มาใหม่ยังชุขะฮี
I think probably immigration has asked for your ID card that you had in Burma and your birth certificate for sure. Now, if you still have relatives back in Burma, they may be able to get your birth certificate for you. I brought a document that I pulled off of the internet. I will leave it with you, and I'll just leave it there and you can pick it up.
Okay.
And it gives the web page where you can go and find out how you might be able to get your birth certificate. You cannot do it from here, though, unless you have a friend or a relative that could do it for you back home.
อาชุบีตัวอินเทอร์วิวซุ่มหัวนับเป็นเจ้าหนุ่มอาชุบีเป็นบางเงินยังไงเจนนะ birth certificate ไม่ใช่ยังตัวแบบอังกฤษทำตามนี้โดยบางทีจะตัวแบบอาชีพองค์นี้ตอนเช้าตัวมี birth certificate ตัวที่ใส่เป็นโน้ตว่าตั้งแต่วันละที่สิบปีว่าเห็นจะส่งในกับผู้นั่นแหละที่ขัดที่เราอีอินโคสอนหวยช่วยขัดปกป้องไว้หาเรื่องความเป็นbirth certificateงาวิตอนมีรับตัวที่ใส่ information ตัวที่ใส่เป็นตั้งแต่วัน copy ang ku ke in yo toy ben dalam chen noa and in wa bo ton mi noa and take ya toy mi lai wa ben tanang pu yo.
Other documents you might be able to get would be school documents. I don't know how you go about that. I'm trying to find out, but I couldn't. But I would assume if you have, again, relatives back home and they went to the school that you went to, that there should be records of you in school. And usually school records have your name, your age, and usually your father's name and sometimes your mother's name too. So those would be good documents to take with you if you could get them.
ตัวน้องเป็นมิมันในที่เราพูดนักเทนดีกว่าโต๊ะขันนะสุหลายคงหลายแล้วตั้งพิจารณาสุเพียวสิสุอีกการที่จะปังไอ้ที่เนี่ยอีสานการน่ะไอ้มามินโต๊ะอินโฮมินอีบ้ามินโต๊ะจะอันนั้นที่เชียงแต่มัดตาหลายคงหลายแล้วแต่อยู่ตัวไปทำให้ตัวกู้แก่ยิ่งตัวมิเตล่าที่ตัวเป็นตัวมีกระหีกันนู้นตัวไปกับมินกับป้าตัวไปกันนู้นตัวนู้นหินจะคอยกับอีหลักเหตุการณ์นี้อีสังการน่ะปนานส่งมันตันเตะกอบีเม็ดตัวอีกูเหตุการณ์ตัวมีส่งลำปีขันให้ดี
I think you should also be prepared to answer information about where you lived, like addresses, the dates that you lived there, your parents' names, even if they're deceased, maybe grandparents' names. I don't know what immigration might have on your name. But if, like I said, if you're the real person, immigration may have been able to contact the government in Myanmar and may have been able to get your information, and they may just want to ask you questions and make sure you give the right answers. So again, you might want to check up on that.
It should be about information to get some to get no mama in song ในกระบวนการการเกี่ยยิ่งหัวตาเจ้ามาชีดันตัวไม่ถูกเดินหน้าแต่ยิ่งตัวเด็กตัวกิสตัวอินโนมินิบ้ามิเลไอ้มา information ส่งเสียหัวตาห้องเองเลยค่ะตัวเช่นน้ำขนาด immigration กลุ่มปินส่งไอ้มา information อิมินบัวมาที่บ้านเราส่งเสียไปอาบ้าส่งกลุ่มปินส่งมามักตาอันนั้นเองสิอากิสับเป็นส่งimmigration kumpitan ikama kumpiten on dai ka kon te ka from a information to kisaben ananga hi given mo so tayo
does anybody have any questions about those letters and anything that I might be able to answer?
Tamilai to kisain don lo bak do ho nari we do now me ta to kai kang do te dan lo bak si don lo to kisain
I guess not. Okay, let me just.
There is one question.
I mean, that be paying on low, tam be on many. So I mean, the students sure or I mean, like Yate. Yeah, I mean, that be a matter be like Yate. Wait, I'm going to
I mean, not I mean, Mando video.
I mean, now we don't get a lot. Yeah, now,
So, what will be the process that some people have nickname. So when they got registered with UNHCR as a refugee, they name the first time they gave their nickname, but when they apply for a naturalization and citizenship, they want to change their name. So what will be the impact or what will be the effect of changing name?
There shouldn't be any impact in changing your name if you did it through citizenship. Lots of people do that. So, Americans have a hard time pronouncing your name. So you probably, if you stay here, many of you may get tired of us saying your name wrong and want to adopt a more Americanized name. And there's nothing wrong with that. The records will continue to exist about your old name. And that would be the one that you came as a refugee. So that would be important for you to remember your old names. But getting a new name is fine. It shouldn't have any impact.
Min kaya to kisay pa naman tapos din pero doon na US ka maso citizenship mga jam min kaya tapi tong lo yo tom pen pia tan lo bi pai ka ai che tu hi le so ven yo bang de che mi tapi to ama min a khel le ra chi zo tapi tong lo hi pai ta chen ta min ich khel ta che gen pa min bang poi ta khol si ก็เป็นที่เททุกที
Well, I was trying to think before I came about some warnings I could maybe give you, totally unrelated to being a refugee or an asylum, but just some immigration things that you may not know. One of the things is if you move, you must file a form with immigration. It's called an AR11.
So which means if we move maybe for example state to other
From
state
one apartment to another, from one house to another, from one state to another, you must let immigration know. Lots of people think if they notify the post office that is enough. It is not. And the law says you must let immigration know within 10 days of moving. Now, I don't think immigration really sticks with that, but they could. You never know what immigration is going to do. Immigration has no heart if you didn't know that.
ชุบีมาขลับเลยจะมีตั้งปีแต่อัดเตลโลเลยอัดเชยคนโลอินเล็กสายแค่เชียงอีกอ่ะอินขัดไปอินขัดฮีส่งอ่ะสเตย์ขัดปันสเตย์ขัดฮีส่งอ่ะอิลาเชียงฮีจะอีกแค่เชียงอินก็แบบ immigration เด็กก็อีกแค่ชุบีมาชิบะมีเล็กสายแค่เชียง Would you please repeat what's the form?
The AR11, and you get it on the USCIS.gov webpage. Let me repeat that. Always go. If you have an immigration question, either go to an immigration attorney or go to the U.S. official webpage. That's USCIS for United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. USCIS.gov, G-O-V for government.
ชุบีเป็นอะไรเช่นตัวเล็กสายแค่ใจฟอร์มเบียดิง AR ส่งเลยครับก็ไม่เป็นนักชุบีมามันมีตั้งปีต่อเดือนเขาลบอยู่ได้แต่เจ้ามันเล็กสายแค่ที่พิมพ์หนักก็ต้องรีพอร์ตอีกเบียดิงชุบีมาครับตอนเช้ากินตอนมี immigration รับต้องใส่แบบ information ของบอกอีกงานของบอกที่เลย USCIS ที่จะย่อUnited States Citizenship and Immigration Services ตอนมีกิจเว็บไซต์ยังออกเลย uscis.gov.gov.gov ก็มีแต่ information เป็นหลักการในเยอะ
That's a very reliable web page, and you won't get taken. If you go somewhere else, for example, there are people out there that will charge you for immigration forms, which are free. If you go somewhere else.
ก็มีเว็บไซต์ประเด็นเยอะนะบางตัวมีเว็บไซต์ส่วนลูกดิ้งฟอร์มตั้งปีตั้งชื่อละชิ้นก็จะเป็นฟอร์ม PDF สไตล์ที่พิมพ์ฟรีอ่ะยัง Zoom บอกว่าแต่ตัวมีฟอร์มที่พิมพ์นอนสุ่มหลักนี่ไหนก็จะเป็นตัวมีเว็บไซต์ประเด็นนั่นลูกละชิ้นฟอร์มตั้งปีตั้งฟรีที่งานนี้มี
Once you become a citizen, the requirement to notify immigration when you move is no longer there. But if you have filed for a family member as a U.S. citizen, you can file for your brothers, your sisters, your parents, and married children. Okay? So if you filed for any of those people, then you must still turn in an AR11 when you move. And the reason for that is that immigration may send a letter to you wanting more evidence, something you forgot to turn in. If they send it to your old address, it will not get forwarded, and what will happen to your petition is your petition will get canceled. It will kill it. So be sure to file those AR11s.
ตอนมี AR ส่งนะครับฟอร์มเป็นบางจากแต่ชุบีมาเอชิเลเล็กสาขาที่ส่งอาจารย์มาเขียนสามว่ามูลค่านักเล่าเชียงหมุนปงมาเองเวลา US กลุ่มบินเดนตัวรีพอร์ตในปีเสียฮีเล US citizenship อิงอาโซจึงอินควนขัดอินควนโดหันนมยิงเอซีอิตาเตอินูอิปาเตอิสตังยูนาเตฮอกหันนมยิงตัวมาอีหันหลุดตัดจีงตัวมีอิชเชลตัดจึงไอเป็นเกิดอะไรทำให้มีเมาจุนี่จิงคูบินจีไว้แต่ไอเทนนั่นยิ่งกว่าตัว AR ส่งนะครับเอาไว้ไอเทนเสียสุดใหญ่ตอนมี AR ส่งนะครับเป็นปงมานารีพอร์ตปีเสียฮีเลย ตัวมีอิชาวนั้นก็จะเอกแก่สังเกตดูจีตัวอีและตัวที่เราจะต้องมีอาร์โซนนะครับเป็นนักชุบมีมามาอี
Okay, another, I think most of you probably know what you need to do for citizenship, but you've got to learn English. I noticed many of you in here need an interpreter, so if you want to become a citizen, start practicing. We don't care if you have an accent, okay? It won't bother us. I say that, and it doesn't bother me. I just ask you to repeat a lot, okay? I don't know your language, I promise you. So, but start practicing your English. Listen to TV and start having more to do with people who speak English. It will really help you. That, I know I'm lecturing, and if I make you mad, that's okay.
อาจจะมีเป็นบางอย่างเช่น U.S. citizenship นะครับที่จะดีกว่าอากิโลเจ้าขันมาห้ามเป็นนะครับที่อังกฤษบางอย่างเช่นผมต้องเป็นกำแพงที่สั่งตัวพี่อ๋อสกัดเบียนตัวที่งานเลยรวยจังตอนที่มาห้ามเป็นนบีห้ามเทโลนบีไล่เทโลเองแต่เจ้าก็อังจันเป็นบางอย่างเช่น U.S. citizenship นะครับที่จะดีกว่าอาจจะไปมาเป็นมากำลังไม่คมนับว่าคมเที่ยวนะครับเช่นอยู่เป็นบางอย่างอีที่ว่าเป็นองค์กรว่าเดินไปมาห้ามดำเนินชีวิตจิต citizenship นะครับเจ้าของจังหวัดเป็นตัวห้ามนะครับตัวมาที่มี
It takes about 5 years for you to get your citizenship once you have your green card, the very first green card that you get. So you've got 5 years to practice. Okay? You don't have to be perfect. Yeah, your English doesn't have to be perfect. But you'll have to read, write, and speak it. And you'll also have to learn about U.S. history. You all, I promise, probably know more about U.S. history than I do. So and the questions, you have 100 questions, and you're given the answers. So it's not hard. That part's not hard. So don't worry about that. The English is the one that gets you the most.
To be better, citizenship is showing Jordan zakat bangomi. Ayam, kami ben aham satu kita tolak dia aham saya tu saya itu dia boleh tanya nak, boleh tanya bang jadi licin dia boleh tanya kesin pun jadi tu ben akhir ngahi dulu ini, tolak dia sah boleh ini lebih.
Another thing, no criminal background, no drugs, no alcohol, drinking and driving. If you have too many drinking and driving citations, that can keep you from becoming a citizen. Drugs are really a no-no. Okay, I don't probably have to preach to you guys. You probably don't do these things. But if you're thinking about it, wait until you're a citizen before you do it. Okay. And also, one thing to remember about immigration is sometimes what looks like a misdemeanor to everybody, but immigration is not. It's sometimes a felony. So try and live a good, clean life. I'm sure you, because you're here in the house of God, that's what you intend to do. So
misdemeanor means misdemeanor case doesn't affect you.
Misdemeanor means a small crime.
Yeah.
Small crime, like for example, getting a DUI would be, if you have several, that would be a misdemeanor. If you rob someone or murder someone, that's a felony. That's a bad crime.
Kami tu kisah pen, Joshua dan pasien sangat cuma makhluk kerja tanah Asia pun. Citizenship nangah tidak diikut atubi pena. Zuham na tok record him nan Asia. Je, pen pasien saya dia jauh rumah jauh pen. DUI ni him hadin. Citizenship nangah ni pen lam pita nanti polisi. Kau cakap misdemeanor je, apa criminal pen namanya ikat ni felony le. misdemeanor 是男的，我们 felony 是那边从那他个东西，而且每那些的种都很东西是的 misdemeanor 个是 criminal ที่啊，男的佢肯定多从那他个那些送六送边都很那些，ก็มีแต่เป็น misdemeanor 个是，哎呀啊，ดีจูไอเป็นอาตั้มโซ misdemeanor อ่ะที่บอกเลย criminal ที่ห้างอ่ะอาสาล้ำปอดไปลูกอินนับปีตัวมีอีมัดตันตกบอกจะสิ่งที่จะชีวิตเป็นนี้ไปหลังที่บอกว่าได้เป็นดีจูไอเป็น misdemeanor case ไอ้ห่างfelony อ่ะรู้ช่วยละมุกมุกชี้อ่ะรู้ช่วยละให้เจ้าตัวเป็นน้ำที่เราให้แต่บิลบางมาไอ้ citizenship ก็มาสัมเป็นจูนสิดังเงินตัวเจ้าก็โดนเลยโดนไปแบบจิ้มบุญชิวอะไรอย่าง
Okay. Another thing, if you want to become a citizen, you have to spend, your body has to be in the United States 1/2 of every year in the 5 years before you apply.
1/2, right? U.S. citizenship นั่นที่เจนนั่นเองกุ้งมาส่งนั่นที่มานะตัวกุ้งมาส่งน่าเชี่ยวนี่ต้องกินน่าเชี่ยวนี่ต้องกินสิเป็นกุ้งขัดและหลังส่งแต่U.S. เอาส่วนเดียวนี่คิดดูเด็ดตัวจีละจีนน่ะแกนแต่ละบ้างไม่หาเชี่ยวไม่มีเลยไม่หามาสั่งกุ้งขัดหลังส่งแต่ไม่ให้มาU.S. กับผู้ส่วนลงนี่ทำนี่เราไม่จีนนะ
I tell my clients, if you're going to go out of the country, when you're a permanent resident, don't stay longer than 3 months. And just be sure that if you count days, that you have 1/2 of the days of that year, your body is in the United States.
To be better, cái mày này tôi chỉ mày mua để khát rồi, tôi là sau đó chỉ là hạt chú bò hạt bù su, và bù su đã ở cầm cô lồng và bù su chỉ là hậu đi. Tôi là hiểu như cái to be better, cho là mày yên là sao mà tôi là sau là sản bung hạt để làm đây để về US làm cho, cái mày bung bị về US làm ông nhiều.
Another thing that, and I don't know how this is affecting people that have their green cards already, and I'm assuming most of you all have your refugee documents or green cards, but immigration is really looking at tattoos. And since tattoos are quite attractive, especially to young people today, you really have to watch out because some tattoo you think may be just wonderful, may be gang related. And if it's a gang tattoo, you could lose your green. It's possible to lose your green card or not be able to become a citizen. I'm only saying that because I see more and more people with tattoos. And I just had a person from a different country who was getting ready to file for a green card. And he came in to talk to me. And when I researched his tattoos, about half of them were gang tattoos. He didn't belong to the gangs, but he liked them. He thought they were neat tattoos. But they're tattoos that are used by gangs and are considered to be tattoos that are used by gangs, and gangs are not good.
To be mama kana bangai sila jadi entah kanong dah ni yo tattoo je bela no tattoo macam yo tua cipom tua lim cisui pun deh tua deh hosong pen napi tan cima mau bici bangai sila tua mang dan tattoo cin hama tattoo bici bela yo dalam dalam tolong tua mi tattoo pen ipung pi tua pom pen dun tua mi isai tua mi lek khana pen mi bokat Again, mikiro kipo natin. Mikiro kipo natin tua teju abon singa, avet akibat nam abon selda. Tua hita tua ijipum pintu am teju debe hoita elu. Tami pa be ajipum pintu teju pen. Tua amau ikai panhidi ngama hita hidi ngai jipen tua mi pen. Mai teju lim pala so ina echi ma hi tua hita sen teju ho do. Nanai kilo hidu.
The last thing that I put down, just jotting, thinking of things you might be interested in knowing. If you have filed for a family member back home, you may not understand some of the reasons why it takes so long to get your family member here. There is a document that you can pull down off the internet called the Visa Bulletin. That's V is in Victory, I-S-A, Bulletin.
Mi tam pita inzo, tam tanga zo, tam na om sa, mi tam pita inzo. Igam nama om iyo, in kun pi ahan zo tam pita om ni kita cino lameni. Tuan jen, kasi kata kahat kain kun pi dek halin bagja ki heke pi mo abang si mo cizo. Nalu si om ni kita pen mani. Tuan mi pen na thi no le online ปัญหาส่งเกียนเทวีซ่าบุลเลตินกิจิก็จะบอกเกียนเท
If you want to look at this, it comes out every month. So go to your cell phone, pull up, what is it? Serious? No, what is that? How you get on the internet? I'm blanking on the name. When you get my age, you forget words.
Google.
Anyway, if you go on the internet and you enter in the search engine, visa, bulletin, and then put, like this year you put, right now you put April 2018, and it would bring up the bulletin from the State Department. And what the bulletin does is it tells you where immigration is on the type of petition that you have filed. So that if you're, am I going too fast? Okay,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. If you're filing for, as a permanent resident, you can only file for a spouse or a child. And the child must be unmarried. It's not wrong, bad, when you have a 6-year-old, but if you have a 26-year-old, that one may want to get married. And even though I'm in a house of God, I'm going to tell you that if your children are there, have them live in sin rather than get married if they still want their petition to live. Because if they marry, when you're a permanent resident, it kills the petition. It's gone.
ตัววีซ่าบุลเลตินต้องใส่ที่แบนตอนนี้ตัวคนขับแกนว่าที่ต้องเป็นเปอร์เซ็นต์เบี้ยเสียงส่งแบนที่แบนที่น่าที่จะเป็นตอนนี้ตัวใส่เป็นที่บอกขับแกนว่าที่ยอมวีซ่าบุลเลตินต้องใส่เป็นแกนนั้น Google อะเป็นยิ่งตอนมี Google อะเป็นวีซ่าbulletin.gov ที่นี่ตอนนั้นเป็นเลยแกนนั้นตู้ห้าบางเลยตู้ห้าเอพรห้าอาบันบันเกียร์ตาตัวมีตาพิตาอินเตอร์คอลวินแกอาตู้มาสังหากุมพันหัวที่ปัญหาขั้นเช่าตัวนี้เป็นอาบังเจตุนตัดเป็นอังกิโลเฮสินจินตัวเป็นแกไปตัดเดียแกหาเดียจีเป็นตัววีซ่าบุลเลตินอันที่เอ็นจีวีซ่าบุลเลตินปัญหาอาบังอาหากุมอาหาเป็นตัวมีวีซ่าบุลเลตินอาหารโดยเป็นโอเคตัวมียังตัวเองตัวเจนกิจิขับตัวเจนอินคนรับตัวพิเศษอินคนหัดตัวพิเศษอินตาเตอากุมตอมลำเตะกุมตำลำเตะอามันน้ำเนี่ยที่เห็นกุมซอมนี่กุมขัดอิสลามกับอิตาเตะเห็นยิ่งจีนนาโดปัสสาวะนาโดเตะอินอาตาหิตาเลสังกัมหิตาเลอยู่ตัวมีแต่คนนาบังเตะแบบอามาโอเคแต่นาปัสสาวะนงจีนนงจีนเจ้าหักที่ปันตัวมีอามากุมตัวหิตาที่เห็นสิ่งเสพชัวร์กันตัวมีตัวหิตาที่สิ่งเสพชัวร์กัน
For permanent residents, for family members of permanent residents are backed up. So if you file for your spouse back home or for your minor children, it's taking about 2 years or more before they will be able to come to the United States. And you can start the process by filing your petition, which is the I-130 petition. Some of you, I'm sure, have filed that already and are just waiting to see when your relative, but 2 years. If you become a U.S. citizen, for married children, you can't file, remember, as a permanent resident. But if you have an unmarried child that's over 21, it's taking 6 or 7 years for that child to come. And remember, they cannot get married during that period of time. If during that period of time you become a U.S. citizen, then they can marry. Okay? So then they can take the bonds of marriage. If you become a U.S. citizen, you can file for your parents, you can file for brothers and sisters, and you can file for married children. It takes brothers and sisters about 13 or 14 years now to get here. It takes unmarried children of U.S. citizens maybe 6 years, and married children of U.S. citizens 7 or 8. So it's a long time.
That's fine. Cái chỗ tập biết là cái thế sai chứ cái thua nhiều lâu rồi, mà cái bằng cái này đi. In con hạt tổ cái sai á đi hả? In con hạt tổ cái sai á, chú biết về na in con số á, chỉ là ta đấy, nô là bao giờ hạt đấy về tâm do cụm này sung sót thì chỉ hả? Cụm này sung sót, có chứ nhìn ta đây ta là gì đấy? Sorry, ta đây ta là sản phẩm đây ta là cụm sót này là cụm hạt thì unmarried, chỉ này này đâu, pasal này này đâu đi. Jadi lalu pasal ni lalu ini cincin aku amat asal lain tak jadi lalu pasal ni lalu di lalu ini US ang undong zinay na lo pasal na lo ni asya hun sunga Jehovah na ne kha hi la ton ba chu ko ba ngale ka ni kwa mi man chu bi ma en pa ji a ta pi ta ki tel win to ta de ko khat de ben som ne get lung se ki nga no si som ne get wa de ki nga si chi hi lo win ata ta amon ta amon ata de wi la kum som ni le kum khat ne se hi la unmarried child ke chi yoตัวเราเห็นตัวเราสิ่งนี้ตอนนี้สาเหตุตัวเดียวอันตัวมันอาจจะตัวเดียวอันนี้ชาวนาทำสาไอ้จังอ่ะอีตาเด็กเป็นกุ้งส้มนี่แหละกุ้งขัดเนื้อเสียอย่างตอนนี้สิ่งนี้นายเราภาษานี้นายเราไม่ทำตอนนี้ตัวมีจุดยืน
I think that's all that I have. If anybody has any questions that they want to ask, I'll be happy to try to answer them. If you speak English, grab me outside. But if you need an interpreter, you can just come up here and ask the question.
So I have one relative. Their parents passed away, but I will let you adopt her. So is that any chance, or can I petition for that?
You can't petition for somebody unless you adopt them. And to adopt, they have to have lived with you for 2 years. If there is some way you can, they have to be under the age of 16 when you adopt also. So if you can get them here through a visitor's visa or student visa, if they can live and they live with you for 2 years, then you can adopt them and you can file for them. So that would be the fastest way to do it. It's really hard. Otherwise, you have to go back home after you're a U.S. After you're a U.S. citizen. After you're a U.S. citizen, you can leave the United States. Then we don't care. You just have to pay taxes. So you could, after you're a U.S. citizen, you could go back home, adopt a child. That child could stay with you for 2 years, and then you could bring them to the United States. Some countries, I don't know if Burma is one of them, but some countries have to obey the Hague Convention. So if you're going to adopt, you have to find out if your country is bound by the Hague Convention, and then you have to find out what the Hague Convention is all about. I don't have all that information in front of me, so I can't do it on the top of my head.
So this came before she petitioned that adoption, so she needs to visit to the country and they take care of
the child has to live with you, for 2 years.
ก็เดี๋ยวที่ตัวที่ใช้เป็นเกณฑ์แต่ละบ้างตัวมีมวยซาดีให้สุขภาพปีนึงให้เดือนตัวมีแบบตอนเป็นก็เป็นโบเป็นบอกที่อายังมีชาวนี่ตัวมีตอนดิสเซปนี่เป็นตัวอยู่อายังตัวมีอนาคตตัวอนาคตเป็นตัวหุ่นหนักคนเราเป็นตัวนักคนเรามาอุ้มนี่มาเป็นเหตุนั่นก็แต่ชิ้นเดียวชิ้นนี้โบนัสเลยคุณตาเป็นกำลังฟังกันเป็นคอมมิวนิตี้เลยจ้ะตัวมีหนาวบ้างเป็นตัวนักคนเป็นอุ้มนี่มาเป็นก็เชื่อว่าก็เป็นมาก็จะ petition เช่าที่บ้านที่สุดเป็นอย่าง
One other thing too, if you have a brother or a sister back home that could adopt the child, and then you become a U.S. citizen and you file for that brother or sister, the children will be included in that. So one thing nice about filing for a sibling is the spouse and children are included as long as they're under the age of 21. And another thing that you probably need to know, or maybe you care, maybe you don't, when you file a petition and there are children involved, the children's ages are frozen during the time it takes the petition to get approved. That is really beneficial if you're filing for a brother or sister, because you may be filing for a brother or sister and the children may be around 14. But since it takes 12 years for that petition, for them to be able to immigrate, the children are going to be over the age of 21 by then, except you can subtract the age so that if it takes 6 years to approve the petition, you can subtract 6 years from whatever physical age they are. And I have brought a family from Nigeria that way, and all of the children were over 21. 24, 25, 26, and they all got here just because of that rule. So it's another good thing to remember. If you have family back home, don't be afraid to petition for them. Just the petition alone doesn't obligate you. You get obligated when the petition is right, when the visa is available, and then you may have to make enough money to be able to support them. But anyway, but just to do it to begin with, there's no obligation.
Kami to bisa input to bisa pen tua acara mai gen sa tua buisa ni to bisa pen kami lambi khalan ko bio to singa input hat ni to bisa pen nen ko na sakam nawa na om le hang hat ben hat te do ni sia bi mi melu sia bang de ayam tua kum ni sorry kum som ni la kha jin sa input te pen ba do pen som ni kum ni ha som ni yo to mi kha ai dong sia po po ni you la chak au kha te wa ha ba mi ka lambi da isu le so I brought I got some 3 or 4 questions from some of you so you can enhance today.
Okay.
I don't know some ni lại với cái question đi cái này thì chắc là được ha.
Green card của cái tan bì đầu tiên là cái tan bì sản xuất chỉ để ai cái này là cái cái này cái mà thôi cái tan bì đầu tiên sản xuất cái mà thôi dan mà thôi cái mà
green card, yeah. So to renew my green card, so before that expire, do I need to apply before that expire, or is that okay? I will be continue applying up to expired date, and then also can I get some fine and deny by the USCIS because I'm late?
I don't know what the current president would say about this, but I can tell you that just because your green card expires does not mean you're no longer a permanent resident. And I have filed for people for citizenship who had green cards that expired years ago. So, but they're still permanent resident. What can happen to you though is your boss can say, wait a minute, you're no longer, the boss doesn't know whether you're really have a green card still or not. So your boss can legally, stop your employment. So you don't want that to happen. I would recommend filing in 6 months before your green card expires. But if you wait and it's already expired, there's no penalty or anything, you just file. And when I say that, sometimes you can't get a driver's license. So if you like to drive, it might be important to keep your green card current. You don't want to drive without a license. That's not good. And so that could be the problem. But aside from just letting your green card expire, there's no real penalty, except for travel. You don't want to travel. You don't want to travel if your green card's expired. No travel, and maybe no work, and maybe no driving. But other than that, it doesn't hurt.
Kami to kisah pen continuing kami na green card kita tak tahu tu jenga nak bangsa ni kita kisah pen ikumpi tu lah jadi presiden dia tu kisah pen ahi tu kan acubi itenin acubi mama pakai cila green card kita tak tahu nak le pen permanent resident ni nak logi pen automatic lah ini ayam kita tu kan aku dah hormat kami hormat so tu masa citizenship siapa tu masa nilai tabuwa a green card ada tanpa sahaja kopi kalau orang kaya. Ayah kita yang ni le, green card ada tanpa masang hagu tete bang siap kalau dia ada boleh pengen. Bang dia tidak, tapi green card akhirnya saya penjual sekarang muda nak sampai jual sekarang dia wenda OKG. Tuan minta kehal ni jadi tuan minta dia tak tanpa tu cengar. Tuan minta Zbct na jual sekarang semua dia wenda nak Zbct na nama tu. Ada tanpa tu ansur untuk suai jangan tuai jangan, apa yang benar nak atau pasangin tentang Tuhan tak boleh tuan itu benar, iya.
Buat di mama, siapa mah, punya lah buat di kene, karena ini hanya undi, ini asam ni, ini sebenarnya, semua jalan ni. Ini dah pun dah selesai, dah selesai. Ini kes ini mah jadi dia lebih di aneh di sini dan pun dia ada bang tiga. Ai sudah satu orang tidak nak itu aneh dia. Kong sungai itu dia mampu soal ini kes. Kong ini mungkin dia. Kalau nak buat itu mungkin buat itu kan dia dia ni. Tidak nak cakap apa. Ini dia kami kibar ahisi.
So the question is about again coming back about the fraudulent, and then also some people just have others' name. Let's say, for example, I am the one who uses others' name. So I was catched by the government, USCIS. My name is not real. I'm fake. I use fraudulent everything documented. I'm fake, and government also knows me that I will get some punishment from the government. If they give me an option, either I'm going to be deported or I will be in the prison. So what should we say? What should we do for that case?
Sometimes it depends on how or why you use the false name. If you use the false name to gain entry into the United States and to get your green card, if you use fake documents to get your green card, you will be deported if immigration finds out, okay? But let's say you come legally and you overstay and you buy a fake green card that has somebody else's name. If you use that name, it probably will be okay, provided you marry a U.S. citizen and get your green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen. Or maybe you can even get your green card some other way, but that's about the only way if you overstate that you're going to be safe. Okay? So it really depends on, why you use the fake name. And sometimes there's no penalty at all. I'm sure immigration would like to, but they've tried, and unless you're using a fake name to gain an immigration benefit, it's not, there's no penalty, essentially.
Kami to kisah ini amai chu to kisah ini kan dan apa nampak lagu dal su sangin baca ngana min su sangin tam tak para angki mukhe chilo iyo kami angki mukhe ai le kami nongki mukhe ai le chu khala pang chile kami angki the ai le deportation chin ikamai ko ka he namal kha aya lam khala po kha den amai min to mi green card tu sangin Wakal hin ko la amin ma sa ama min hilo in wa to kimi po hat kimi aya nga ama association apa sal pen hile apa sal pen US citizenship ko ana hi kha da le to mi case pen ape da lam bi to ki ja bin ko ni to min so ai o ling len the yo ta sa le o ling len the ayam ba shi tham le wai sa ma ni kha chu be to mi kha pen on the be ji da
都話佢啲杯碟嘅，啊，幾點嘅？
啊，咁能冇㗎啦。
都話杯碟嘅，都話面黑唔買咗呢樣。อันนี้ก็ไอ้ตัวที่เป็น面黑唔買咗就เบา嘢。啊，UN 那邊你可以接到見到你的。以下嘅係一個移民嘅意見，我覺得依家係見到乜嘅移民嘅就，呢邊係靚乜曬移民，อันนี้น่าเป็นน่าเป็น嘅。อามาใกล้เต็มอันว่านี่ตัวเราดีกว่าเอ้ยมีมาต่ออามาจะมีตัวเช่าแก่ชอบดีเท่าไหร่กลุ่มเด็กงานดีเท่าไหร่เอ้ยมีเขาหลายเป็นยูเอ็นงานนี่นะดิอามาเป็นนักเป็นเรื่องนักที่จังเลยก็เป็นบางชิ้นป่วยน้ำเลยสุดท้ายก็เป็นป่วยน้ำที่หาที่นี่นะนี่มีก็อาสังส่วนเอ้ยมีก็เป็นที่จังอาสังจะเป็นนี่สุดท้าย citizenship อ่างานอันนี้เราเนี่ยsudah ada kata citizenship dalam hal yang sama. Iya, aku ngajeng naik loh. Itu ada pen, apa makhluk yang ini?
Tuh, nanti pen tuh, ulama mimin dah asang sakat pen dalam suas angkung zoin tani lah. Iya, tani lah. Tuh pen agak makin bukan. Iya. Yeah. Here is the question. Let's say, Mr. Go, I'm an example. So I took some other's name before I came to the United States in the refugee camp because I would like to get registered very quickly to the UNHCR. So I took some other people's name. Then when the process is going, then I got the United States. Also after a while, I also have some 2 kids and all 1 kids, those who were born in the United States. But finally, when USCIS started investigation, they found that I am the fake one. So if I face this case, can my kids, those who were in the United States, can help me to remain staying in the United States, or do they deport me the whole family in my country back?
They'll probably deport you. If your children are U.S. citizens, you can be deported for 10 years, and then when they turn 21, they may be able to get you back here.
From there, right?
Yeah.
咁樣啦，嗰邊我講俾你聽話起嚟，嗱種嗱咁啲國家嘅，哎呀嘛，嗱打啲工作你話工作之後，幫你咪發啲小嘢啲，接落嚟兩邊，嗱我睇緊。
green card, cái green card của mình tiên triển siêu chảo như nó tiên sinh bên thì cho bạn kia nga rồi điều con cái green card tất cả những cái lên cho con bị siêu gia siêu tiên sinh là nga rồi con green card cái siêu gia là nga thì ai gì đấy anh mau tâm lý sẽ cái sẽ làm cái amai matakan của dân đi ra mà tao đi
Okay, here's the question about applying citizenship and failing citizenship interview, civic interview. Let's say a person failed interview for more than 3 times. So he tried again and again, but he failed. But while this takes time, his green card was expired. So
Just
what can we
apply for the green card again.
Green card shall be gathered.
Yeah. The requirements for keeping your green card are totally different than becoming a U.S. citizen. Now, if you do something criminal, though, as a permanent resident, you could lose your green card. So.
Anh em là green cardเป็น小家的，迄样嘛 criminal，มันตามมาบอกนะว่าขาเส้นจะไหนที่เราตัวมี green card มันต้องเป็นช่องๆนี้สิ
I thought of one more thing before all the questions are over. Never, ever, under any circumstances, claim to be a U.S. citizen if you are not a U.S. citizen. That is as bad as murdering someone in immigration's eyes, and you will get deported. And if it finds out you have done that, you could lose your green card, you could lose your citizenship, you could lose everything. So, I cannot tell you how bad that is. If you have ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen on an I-9 form, you know what an I-9 form is for employment? You go back to that employer, you find that I-9 form and you change it. But don't tell anybody I told you to do that.
Chú bi ma mà là sao về bệnh này chỉ là lúc tăng mu mặt tàn này đấy rồi, lúc tăng mu mặt tàn này thì mình tốt quá, citizenship anh đi làm việc tốt khác. Đó là I-9 form chỉ là sẽ lúc chỉ là có I-9 form, có khéo nhá mà chọn bắt đầu rồi, nãy bị đâm sao về ma mà chỉ rồi. Anh có bị bệnh, cái những cái gì cái chuyện đó đặc biệt chỉ là rồi.
Immigration will pull I-9 forms and check. If you've ever signed an I-9 form, it can pull them and it'll check and it'll see if you ever did that. And if you did, it's really bad news. Okay.
Well,
I'm through lecturing, I think.
Immigration นั่นคือเป็นตัวใหญ่ในฟอร์มแบบนักมักชิมาเอาวิจิบางคนบอกนักตัวใหญ่ในฟอร์มเกี่ยบางเป็นบอกในบางเป็นเสนอจิบางเป็นแบบว่าไอ้นักเสียมาเอาวิจิโดนเราเอาไล่ One more question.
If someone refugee would be here or die,
Nanti chúng ta bên còn bên nào âm thanh nào đó được phát độ. Here is the question. So most of refugees escape from their country, including us. We escape from our country because of many problems. But when we get in the United States, and then when we face something issue or something concerning by the government, so why they still investing our information in the country? Also, when they start investigation information about our background in our country, if they don't get any information from there. So what should be happen? Should the government continue us to do the process by law, or do they stop?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that if immigration finds that there has been fraud or misrepresentation, it will do everything that it can possibly do to find the people that committed the fraud and misrepresentation. Let me give you one example. Years ago, and this is before I started practicing immigration, there was a way to get a green card through an agricultural worker, as an agricultural worker. And you had to show that you had been here for a long time, and you had to show that you had been working in the agricultural industry for a farmer or for a rancher or something. Well, it turned out that there was a lot of fraud in that, and immigration did not find out about it for years and years and years. And it went back, and if it found anybody who had done it, then it removed whatever the person had gotten. So if the person had gotten a green card and then become a citizen, they took away the citizenship and they took away the green card and they deported the person. So it can go on, I guess as long as immigration exists, it could go on. Eventually, it will close once it thinks it's found everybody that committed the fraud, it'll probably close its investigation. But you never know. If you ever did anything wrong, there's always a reason to worry. But what I would say is enjoy your life here while you can.
In again of number eight, in a good one, in the case of the government on edge, the central Gilman has sent had got an up with the visit in Kumbin, the data, my background of the Sui. Bang mulo in the Babas of Ayana, a sort of Najena, Nuamu Jabe, and Nuamuki Yanni, Wun Jenwa, a citizenship of Jabe. Jidanin, Bakazoka Mulo would pay Joke, a Jalan Jidan, again, and among information. Amuswan a hit of a hitchcock. And Holotin out a good hitchcock came a Gilda, a sweet Java, but a Mupo, Jatama, Dua, Saduya, Sam, Hanova, and Bama, a sort of Najabanga, based on a moon in Una, a citizenship that visual thing as well. I think we're almost done. Okay, I don't know what to be online, yeah, don't need to be but online. The Hulu Tama. Yeah, the question is about interviewing citizenship with those who do not speak English and those who has medical document, pro document. So I'm still failed that interview. So what should I do? I'm not still get that interpreter for my interview. So what's that process?
Well, you must speak English unless there is a reason why you can't learn English. For example, you're deaf. You can't hear deaf. If you're deaf, then that would be a legitimate reason for you not to learn English. But you still have to learn to spell it, I would think, to read it and write it, but not to speak it. If you have had a stroke and you have lost your ability, your language ability to both understand and speak, that would be definitely a reason why that would be excused. Just because you have failed to learn English is not enough reason.
In a few minutes, I'm going to again, the people have been Hosalok to a building in Lowa Hosati, that you look there, Japan came up with. Tommy look at them, not my Naham, the motor with the harm chain, no, look, for Jama is so what the old Japan. Tolo Adam Bay, my head, and he take a chin top up over my ham, Mala, a chin cock, Narita, the chin, the Ilan, hey, so that you are.
One other thing too, once you've had your green card for a long time, I cannot remember the exact figures, but let's say you're 65 and you've had your green card for 20 years, you don't have to learn, you don't have to speak English then. There's an excuse. And you may have given you the wrong numbers, but if you want to call my office, I can look it up and give you the right ones. I know for someone who is a long-term resident who has turned either 60 or 65, that there's a forgiveness for English. And there certainly are people here that fits. And they can go there and they get their citizenship. So.
มีบอกกันได้เป็นอากุมสอบหรือสอบกุมอากุมเชื่อบางสอบสาวเฟกเป็นอากุมสอบตักต่างยังได้ต้องบางแบบที่คนโอเคก็มีเจริญมาเป็นจริงเป็นโอเคไม่ได้หรอ
I'm pretty sure you have to have had your green card at least 15 years for one of the ages and 20 for the other. But I don't have that information in front of me, and I could be giving you incorrect information.
บริการเราเป็นกลุ่มสอบและกลุ่มอาเป็นกลุ่มสอบที่แบบตัวเองต้องสวยดีตัวตัวอีกกลุ่มอังขังอังจิ๋วตัวสวยอีกกลุ่มอังตำโดดอกฟอกนี่ก็เลยตัวไปเป็นไอ้ยันทางตัวของสวยนี่หรอ Thank you ดูดำมากไหมแหละ